So what are protists, plants, and fungi? We'll talk about that in this video. All life, other than prokaryotes, falls into the domain Eukarya. This includes all plants, all animals, fungi, and protists. Now, all of these organisms share the same general cell type, that of the larger, more complicated cells, called eukaryotic cells. So when we look at domain Eukarya, we see many more organisms that we're maybe more familiar with. Although this old kingdom classification of plantae, fungi, and animalia isn't really accurate and isn't really used in modern science anymore. Eukaryotic supergroups give a more accurate explanation of evolutionary relationship than the old kingdom system did. Yet, the previous kingdom system is more familiar and traditional. Systematics isn't a field where we've uncovered all the information that there is to know, and so even expect more changes to come. For this course, you aren't expected to understand the names or remember the names of the different eukaryotic supergroups, but I would like you to see that plants, animals, and fungi are all represented within the supergroups, and it turns out that both animals and fungi are found in the same supergroup, and we have protists found in all 6 of these supergroups. So grouping the protists as one kingdom really isn't an accurate representation of their relationship with each other. So where did the eukaryotic cell even come from? Well, it's believed that all eukaryotes originated from a single progenitor eukaryotic cell. That this eukaryotic cell originated when a larger prokaryotic cell engulfed a smaller one. And this isn't really surprising. This is a common way for cells to eat. Eukaryotic cells are known for having many chambers or compartments called organelles. What typically happens when a larger cell engulfs a smaller one is that it digests it and breaks it down and processes it. But in this case, this smaller cell was engulfed, and instead of being digested, it became a permanent internal compartment for this larger cell. And over time, both the internal cell and the larger host cell got to a point where they couldn't live without each other. So let's talk a bit about protists as a group. Even though we acknowledge they shouldn't be in one kingdom, they're found in all 6 supergroups, there are some traits we can talk about in relation. So currently, protists are all eukaryotic organisms not recognized as a plant, animal, or fungi. Members of this group are present in every eukaryotic supergroup. As I had said, they were previously described as a single kingdom. But recent genetic analysis shows that the kingdom grouping did not represent the evolutionary relationship among the eukarya. So what can we say about protists as a group? Well, some are photosynthetic and others are heterotrophic. Meaning they need to eat food and get their energy from organic molecules they consume. Some are unicellular and some are multicellular. Unlike bacteria, protists are capable of sexual reproduction, meaning you can combine genetic information from both parents to produce an offspring that has a unique genetic makeup. And it turns out that there are some protists which are pathogens. You may remember in our discussion of the scientific method that protists were identified as being the cause of that massive fish die-off. Next, we'll spend some time talking about plants. So the next traditional kingdom in domain Eukarya is kingdom Plantae. This is a diverse group of organisms with over 250,000 identified species. Plants are defined as multicellular eukaryotic organisms with cell walls made of cellulose and typically possessing the ability to photosynthesize. So plants do not need to consume food in order to get energy. They get their energy from sunlight. Here we see within the eukaryotic supergroups that land plants are located in this supergroup, along with several different types of algae. Even though there are many different species, we can break plants down into 5 major groups. We have the bryophytes, which are plants that lack vascular tissue. They aren't able to transport water internally, and so they're very small. These are going to be things like mosses. Then we have the lycophytes and pterophytes. Which have vascular tissue, but like the bryophytes, they are not able to reproduce using seeds. They reproduce using spores instead. Our next group of plants are the gymnosperms. Now they have vascular tissue, and they're able to make seeds. Yet these gymnosperms don't produce fruits or flowers. All plants that have fruits and flowers are in the final group, known as angiosperms. Plants are known as producers, or autotrophs, because they're able to harvest sunlight and store that energy in the form of chemical energy. They're able to do this through a process called photosynthesis. The last group for this lecture are going to be the fungi. So our next traditional kingdom is kingdom fungi. Fungi are eukaryotes that share some properties of plants, but they do not photosynthesize. Instead of cell walls of cellulose like plants, they have cell walls made of a protein called chitin. This is more similar to actually the shells of insects. So to find fungi, we're down in this bottom supergroup, the Epistoconta. Since fungi do not photosynthesize, they must get their energy and building blocks from organic matter. They often do this by decomposing dead organic matter. Now, some forms of fungi are symbiotic and beneficial, while others are parasitic and pathogenic. When we look at the different types of fungi, they can come anywhere from mushrooms and different types of molds to yeast and others. The body of a fungus is made out of fibers called hyphae. These fibers are thread-like collections of cells, which are not fully distinct from each other. These hyphae fibers form a dense mesh network called mycelium. And we'll be able to see that hyphae becoming mycelium here in the fruiting body of this fungus, which we call a mushroom. The last kingdom in domain Eukarya is kingdom Animalia. We'll talk about that in the next video.